You need to put your life back in order, and that starts with a decision. Maybe you feel like everything is out of place right now. The days go by, but it feels like you're always putting out fires. You solve one problem, and another one shows up. You make plans, but you can't stick to them. You work hard, you put in the effort, you try to become better, and even so, you still feel like you're living on autopilot. The problem is that chaos never arrives all at once. It creeps in little by little. First, you put off an important decision. Then you abandon a good habit. Then you accept a situation that, deep down, you know you should never have accepted. You begin living by reacting to circumstances instead of building your own path. And before you realize it, you're no longer the one leading your life. Your life is leading you. But it doesn't matter how long things have seemed disorganized. One genuine decision is enough to begin changing a direction that has been taking shape for years. Because putting your life in order doesn't mean having a perfect schedule. It doesn't mean controlling everything. It means taking back control. It means deciding who you want to be, which principles will guide your choices, and no longer allowing chance to determine your future. That is exactly what the Stoics understood. No one is born with an extraordinary life. It is built every time someone chooses to act with intention, discipline, and responsibility, even when it would be easier to keep living on autopilot. Every great transformation begins when a person stops waiting for the world to change and decides to change their own attitude toward the world. That's when strength begins to appear, clarity begins to appear, purpose begins to appear, and a life that once seemed lost finally begins to find its direction. In this video, you'll discover 8 Stoic strategies that can help you restore order to your life, strengthen your discipline, and live with far greater purpose. Each one has the power to transform your daily life on its own. But when they become part of the same mindset, they change the way you think, the way you make decisions, and the way you live. So, before we even get to the first lesson, I want you to make a decision. Write this in the comments. Today, I take control of my life. Don't write it just because I asked you to. Write it to mark the day you decided to stop living on autopilot and start consciously building the life you truly want to live. Because no one can put your life in order for you. But the moment you make that decision, everything begins to change. Now let's begin. Strategy 1. Be a free man. Have you ever noticed how certain things have more control over you than you'd like to admit? No matter how disciplined you are, there's always something that seems to have a strange kind of power over your actions. Imagine you're driving your car, and suddenly the steering wheel starts turning to the right all by itself. You try to correct it, but the car keeps pulling off the road. That's how an addiction works. It takes control out of your hands before you even realize it. Most of the time, it doesn't come from something big or obvious. It could be your phone, the one you automatically pick up without even thinking, or that urge to eat something sweet after lunch, even when you're not hungry. It could be the habit of having a beer or a glass of wine every night to unwind, until the day you realize you can't get through an evening without it. Physicist Richard Feynman experienced something like this. He was going about an ordinary day, walking from one class to another, when he suddenly felt an overwhelming urge to have a drink. He wasn't an alcoholic, but that feeling of losing control frightened him. He realized alcohol had more power over him than he was willing to admit, and he decided to quit. Former US President Dwight Eisenhower went through something similar. He was a heavy smoker, going through 4 packs of cigarettes a day. After suffering a heart attack, his doctor told him he would have to quit. He replied firmly, "I gave myself the order to stop." And he did. It wasn't because he suddenly developed incredible willpower overnight. It was because he realized the cigarettes were in control, and he decided to take that power back. The Stoics taught that true power lies in the ability to say no. If you can't resist something, then you're not the one in control. That thing is controlling you. And the problem isn't limited to obvious addictions like cigarettes, alcohol, or gambling. It's also the small, everyday habits that quietly steal your time, your attention, and your freedom. Ask yourself, what do you feel you need in order to feel okay? Is it your morning coffee, your phone before bed, that dessert after dinner? Now imagine being able to simply not need it. That's what real freedom looks like, knowing you can have something, but you don't have to. The solution isn't just to quit, it's to take back control. Start with small steps. Choose one habit you feel is controlling you and challenge yourself for the next 7 days. If you can't start your day without coffee, try cutting back to half a cup. If your phone is the problem, try leaving it in another room while you sleep. Or if you tend to use it throughout the day, set a 30-minute reminder on Facebook or Instagram. The goal isn't to punish yourself, it's to help you regain control. The Stoics believed that true freedom comes from self-mastery. As Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Do you want to be free, or do you want to remain a prisoner of your own desires? The choice is yours, and so is the power. 2. Don't let energy stagnate. Imagine you have a closet packed with clothes you don't even wear anymore. Every time you open the door, you get that feeling of clutter, of disorder. It's as if your mind becomes confused just by looking at it. Now imagine opening that same closet and seeing everything organized with only the clothes you actually wear and enjoy. Can you feel the difference? The problem with having too much isn't just the lack of space, it's the mental burden it creates. A study from the University of California found that people who live in cluttered environments tend to have higher levels of cortisol, the stress hormone. In other words, the more clutter you accumulate, the more your mind stays in a constant state of alertness and exhaustion. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus said, "A person can only lose what they possess." The real problem isn't losing your possessions, it's the attachment you develop toward them. When you become too attached to what you own, you begin living in fear of losing it, and that fear makes you vulnerable. Now think about this. If tomorrow you lost half of your belongings, would your life actually be worse? Or would you simply have less clutter to manage? Minimalism isn't about living with as little as possible. It's about creating physical and mental space for what truly matters. When you own too much, your mind becomes overloaded. It's like trying to walk with a backpack full of rocks. You can keep moving, but the weight gradually leaves you more exhausted and weighed down. So why not start today? Grab a bag and go through a drawer or a closet. Ask yourself, do I really need this? If the answer is no, let it go without guilt. Donate it, sell it, or throw it away. What matters is taking that weight off your shoulders. When you remove the excess, you make room for mental clarity, lightness, and freedom. Remember, you are not defined by the things you own. Your value lies in who you are, not in what you have. Let go of what is unnecessary and feel the difference it makes in your mind and in your life. 3. Learn to forgive. Holding on to resentment is like holding a burning piece of charcoal, hoping the other person gets burned. At first, you believe you're protecting yourself, that keeping that pain alive will somehow give you an advantage or a sense of justice. But in reality, the only person getting burned is you. With every bitter memory, with every thought of revenge, it's as if you're squeezing that burning charcoal even tighter, making the pain and the damage even worse, until you reach a point where your hands are so badly burned that you can barely hold them still in peace. Forgiving doesn't mean you agree with what happened. It doesn't mean what was done to you was fair, or that you have to let that person back into your life. It means you're letting go of the burning charcoal. You're choosing to set yourself free. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." When you forgive, you're not freeing the other person from responsibility. You're freeing yourself from the emotional prison that resentment has built inside you. A few years ago, I had a serious falling out with someone I considered a brother. I felt betrayed, and that feeling consumed me from the inside out. After spending a long time feeding that resentment, I decided to send that person a message. I apologized for anything I might have done wrong, and I tried to open the door to an honest conversation. Do you know what happened? Nothing. That person responded in a cold and defensive way, the kind of response that could easily have reignited all those old feelings of resentment. But something changed inside me. I felt lighter. The weight I had been carrying disappeared because I had done what was within my control. I took responsibility for my part in the situation. I accepted that I can't control how other people respond. I can only control what I do. Holding on to resentment is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to suffer. You think you're protecting yourself, but you're actually poisoning yourself, little by little. When you make peace, even if the other person doesn't meet you halfway, you let go of that weight and you break the invisible chain that's keeping you tied to the past. If there's someone you need to forgive or someone you need to ask for forgiveness, do it today. Be direct, sincere, and humble. If that person receives you well, that's wonderful. If not, at least you'll have the peace of knowing you did your part. You can't control the outcome, but you can control your decision to make peace. Choose to heal instead of hurting yourself even more. The past cannot be changed, but the future is in your hands. Fourth strategy: guard what enters your mind. What you allow into your life determines the quality of your days. If you let garbage in, you can't expect something good to come out. It's like filling a glass of clean water with a few drops of mud. No matter how clean the water was, it becomes contaminated. Many of us allow the same kind of contamination into our lives. The news you consume, the accounts you follow, the group chats filled with complaints, all of these shape how you feel and how you think. If you're surrounded by negativity, drama, pessimism, and chaos, your mind will reflect exactly that. As Marcus Aurelius said, if you keep company with fools, don't expect wisdom to remain within you. And he was right. When you're constantly around people who bring nothing but drama, gossip, and complaints, it slowly erodes your peace of mind. It's like trying to keep a boat afloat while someone keeps drilling holes in it. Think about the last few times you scrolled through your Facebook feed or got stuck watching a controversial video. Did it leave you feeling happier or just more anxious? How many times have you finished watching the news, feeling more informed and at peace, or simply more irritated, outraged, and worried? You don't have to disconnect from the world or cut people out of your life, but you do need to be intentional about what you consume. If someone only calls you to unload their problems and complaints, why do you keep answering? If a group chat is nothing but criticism and negativity, why do you keep participating? If a page only posts meaningless gossip about other people's lives, why do you keep following it and engaging with it? Start filtering what comes into your life. If something is emotionally draining you, close that door. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting your peace. If you want more mental clarity, more balance, and more motivation, start by filtering what enters your mind. Try this for 1 week. Mute negative accounts on social media, leave groups that make you feel emotionally drained, and spend less time consuming sensationalized news. Use that time to do something you enjoy, to do something for yourself. The quality of your life improves when you control what you allow into your mind and into your heart. Because garbage in, garbage out, but the opposite is just as true. Good influences go in, good decisions come out. You have control over that. Fifth strategy: do less. Out there, the world is full of things to do. There are emails to answer, phone calls to return, messages from friends you still haven't replied to, household chores piling up, social media constantly fighting for your attention. And in the middle of all that chaos, your dreams and goals are still waiting to become reality. But they keep drifting farther away because your mind is overloaded. The truth is, people have felt this way for centuries. In the time of the Stoics, people were busy too. The only difference is that, instead of smartphone notifications and meetings, they dealt with endless household responsibilities, social obligations, and the constant pressure to survive. The problem has never been the number of tasks, but the lack of clarity about what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius said, "If you seek tranquility, ask yourself, is this essential?" Most of the things we do and say are not essential. And if you can eliminate what isn't essential, what truly matters becomes much clearer and much easier to manage. The first step toward putting your life in order is to eliminate the excess. Not just physical clutter, but mental and emotional clutter as well. It isn't just about organizing your space, it's also about clearing your schedule and your priorities. Do you really need to say yes to that meeting that could have been handled with an email? Do you really need to accept that invitation to an event you already know will leave you exhausted? Learning to say no is a form of self-respect. When you say yes to everything, you're saying no to yourself, to your peace, and to your mental energy. When you say no to something unnecessary, you're saying yes to your well-being, your family, and your personal growth. Seneca reminds us that a love of busyness isn't productivity, it's simply restlessness of the mind. Many people stay busy all day long, but they aren't actually accomplishing anything. It's like running on a treadmill. You get tired, but you never get anywhere. The real question is, what are you actually building with this frantic pace? If you stop doing half the things you do today, would anyone really miss them? Would the world miss them? How would your life actually change? Think about someone who wants to improve their life, earn more money, and take better control of their finances. They work hard, put in overtime, and try to save. But every month, they get swept away by a flood of advertisements, sales, and holiday spending. They start the year in debt because they bought Christmas gifts, threw an expensive holiday party, and, in the heat of the moment, spent far more than their budget allowed. Then January arrives, bringing car insurance, property taxes, school supplies, higher health insurance premiums, homeowners association fees, and before the month is even over, their paycheck is already spoken for. And the cycle repeats itself. The problem isn't a lack of money, it's a lack of clarity and a lack of priorities. This person doesn't need to earn more. They need to stop spending on what isn't essential. They need to learn how to say no. Do you really need a new phone just because a newer model came out? Do you really need to order takeout 3 times a week because you don't have time to cook? Do you really need to replace your car right now, or is that just an impulse driven by social pressure? When you begin saying no to the unnecessary, the essential becomes visible. Choosing not to spend money on something you don't truly need could mean having money to invest, to build an emergency fund, or finally take that course that could change your career. You need boundaries. Saying no isn't rude, it's necessary. You don't need to come up with an elaborate excuse to decline an invitation or turn down a request. A simple, "No thank you," is enough. And do you know what happens when you start saying no more often? You regain control of your life. You think more clearly, and your priorities become easier to see, and because of that, you gain more time for what truly matters. You only have one life. Stop wasting it on things that don't move the needle. Start today by saying no to what drains you and yes to what truly makes a difference. 6th strategy, clear away the mental dust. Have you ever noticed how the day seems to weigh you down? In the morning, you wake up feeling light, with a clear mind, ready to begin. But as the hours go by, something starts piling onto your shoulders. The stress from work, an argument that came out of nowhere, that annoying comment you saw on social media. None of it seems like a big deal on its own, but it settles on you, layer after layer, like dust collecting on a surface, until by nighttime you're carrying the weight of 1,000 things without even knowing where they came from. That's how life works. You wake up with a clean mind, and you end the day covered in accumulated emotions. And here's the point that changes everything. Just as the floors in your home need to be swept every day, your mind also needs a way to get rid of that weight. No one lets dust pile up for months and still expects to live comfortably in that environment. Your mind works the same way. Marcus Aurelius used to say that it was essential to wash away the dust of earthly life, and he wasn't talking about taking a shower. He was referring to practices that cleanse the mind and the emotions, that remove everything the day has piled onto you. He knew that a mind clouded by worry can't think clearly, can't make good decisions, and can't truly rest. And you've already experienced this yourself, even if you never had a name for it. Have you ever gone for a walk after a stressful day only to come back feeling lighter, as if something had been lifted off your shoulders? Or turned your phone off for an hour and suddenly felt like your mind could breathe again? That wasn't luck or coincidence. That was you sweeping away the emotional dust the world had thrown on you. The Stoics did this intentionally, each in their own way. Seneca believed that simple moments, a peaceful meal, a meaningful conversation, were legitimate ways to restore inner balance. It didn't have to be anything extraordinary. It just had to be consistent. Today, your version might be a workout at the gym, a walk outside, a prayer before bed, or an honest conversation with someone you trust. Small pauses that reset your mind and help you regain your balance. And here's the mistake that keeps most people stuck, believing that this kind of mental cleansing only happens on special occasions. The dream vacation, the meditation retreat in the mountains, the perfect beach getaway, as if inner balance were a luxury reserved for once a year. It isn't. The dust settles every single day, so the cleaning has to happen every single day too, right in your own home, in your real daily routine. There's no point in sweeping the floor once a year when it gets dirty every day. So ask yourself the question that truly matters. What leaves your mind feeling the cleanest? Maybe it's the quiet of the morning, enjoying a cup of coffee before everyone else wakes up. Maybe it's the workout that releases the tension from your body. Maybe it's a prayer or that hot shower that seems to wash the whole day down the drain. There's no single right answer. There's only the answer that's right for you. The secret isn't finding the perfect ritual. It's creating a simple system that's easy to maintain, something you can repeat even on your busiest days. And this is where your strength lies. You can't control what the world throws at you. That's a certainty. The unexpected will come, the pressure, the disappointments, but you have complete control over how you wash that dust away at the end of the day. That power belongs to you, and no one can take it away. So start today. Choose one practice, just one, that clears your mind, and turn it into a habit. Because without that daily cleansing, even the strongest mind eventually becomes overloaded, and an overloaded mind sooner or later breaks. But the mind that cleans itself every day wakes up feeling light again, ready for a fresh start, no matter how much dust the world insists on throwing its way. Seventh strategy. The beauty is in the simple things. Maybe the most powerful thing you can do for your mind today costs nothing, requires nothing, and is just a few steps outside your door. Think about a hot shower after a difficult day, or a slow walk outdoors with nowhere in particular to be. Have you ever noticed how much lighter your mind feels afterward? It's as if the exhaustion washes away with the water, and that feeling of being refreshed isn't just physical, it's mental too. When you allow yourself to disconnect from the chaos of the world and reconnect with something simple, the sound of the wind, the smell of the rain, something inside you begins to fall back into place. The problem is that modern life works against that. Most people are trapped in the same exhausting cycle, from bed to their phone, from their phone to work, from work to traffic, and then back to bed. A never-ending series of noisy and closed spaces that always leaves you with the feeling that something is missing. And the truth is, something is. When you spend your entire day surrounded by screens, notifications, and endless tasks, your brain goes into overload. It's like trying to breathe in a room with no fresh air. You get used to living with less. Without realizing, you could be taking a deep breath. And that's when something almost magical happens the moment you step outside that cycle. A walk with no destination, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the sound of trees swaying in the breeze. That simple connection with nature clears your mind in a way that no app, no guided meditation can truly recreate. Because it isn't about a technique, it's about returning to something you were never meant to leave behind. I remember one afternoon when I decided to go for a walk with no particular destination. At first, it felt like just another attempt to escape my routine. But after a few minutes, I started noticing details I had always overlooked. The birds singing, the smell of freshly cut grass, the cool touch of the breeze against my face. By the time I got home, I felt different, lighter, more grounded, as if my mind had quietly put itself back in order without me making any effort at all. Nature has exactly that kind of power, and it's not just about getting out of the house. It's about reconnecting with what truly matters. The Stoics often spoke about living in harmony with nature, because that connection reminds us of what is genuinely important. It's interesting how your worries, your problems, even that conversation you've been putting off for weeks, all begin to seem smaller when you stand before something greater than yourself. The world didn't become smaller. Your mind simply regained its proper sense of perspective. And the best part is, you don't need much to begin. You don't need a forest, a trip, or a picture-perfect beach. Start small, leave your phone at home and go for a walk. Take a moment to look up at the sky, listen to the sounds around you, breathe in the scent of a tree after the rain. All you have to do is open yourself to what's already around you, the things you've simply stopped noticing. Because real beauty truly is found in the simple things. The aroma of a freshly brewed cup of coffee, the sound of rain falling outside, the rhythm of your footsteps on the sidewalk. When you slow down enough to notice those things, your mind slows down with them, and it's in that state of calm, and only in that state that clarity begins to emerge. Seneca had a quote that feels even more meaningful here. Life is long enough if you know how to use it. Think about what he's really saying. The problem was never a lack of time, it was a lack of presence. We rush through our days and forget to actually live them. And living well doesn't begin with a dramatic change. It begins with those small moments when you're fully present, exactly where you are. So give yourself that gift today. Step outside, take a deep breath, and allow yourself to experience the world again. You'll come back with a clearer mind, a lighter body, and that rare kind of clarity that comes from remembering, even if only for a few minutes, what truly matters. 8th strategy. Use your time better. If you feel like the days are slipping by too fast, as if you're constantly running without getting anywhere, maybe the problem isn't that you don't have enough time, but rather the way you're using the time you already have. And that changes everything, because while a lack of time feels like a life sentence, the way you use it is something that is completely in your hands. Ask yourself one honest question. Where is my time actually going? If you answer truthfully, without fooling yourself, you might be surprised. How many hours do you spend putting out fires that a little planning could have prevented? How much time slips away scrolling through your feed, watching one short video after another without ever consciously deciding to do it? Think of your time like a budget. If you don't keep track of where your money goes, it simply disappears by the end of the month, and you can't even explain where it went. Time works exactly the same way, but with one crucial difference. Money can be earned back. Time can't. What you waste today will never come back tomorrow or ever again. That's why it is, by far, your most valuable resource. Seneca understood this 2,000 years ago with a statement that is still just as true today. It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a great deal of it. Pause for a moment and let the weight of those words sink in. He isn't saying you need more hours in the day. He's saying the time you already have is enough. What you're missing is protection from distractions and from the automatic choices that quietly consume your hours without you even noticing. And you know those silent thieves very well. Have you ever picked up your phone just to check one message, only to realize 40 minutes had gone by? Have you ever run to the grocery store for a quick errand that somehow turned into an entire hour because you got distracted along the way? Each of those little leaks seems harmless in the moment. But added together, day after day, they create a massive hole in your life, and through that hole slip away your projects, your dreams, and all the things you keep promising yourself you'll do when I have more time. The good news is that the solution is simple, and it's within your reach right now. Start by doing a time audit. Set aside one day and pay close attention to exactly where your hours go. Write everything down: social media, text messages, TV shows, commuting. Once you see the waste written down on paper, it stops being invisible, and that's when you can finally do something about it. Then apply the value test. Whenever you're doing something, ask yourself, if I knew I only had 1 month left to live, would I still spend my time doing this? If the answer is no, you've just identified a strong candidate to eliminate or reduce. It's a simple filter, but an unforgiving one, and it gives you immediate clarity. Now here's what traps most people. We get used to wasting time precisely because we feel busy, and being busy creates the false impression that we're being productive, that we're making progress. But pay attention. Being busy is not the same thing as being effective. Living busy all the time is like running on a treadmill, lots of effort, lots of sweat, and not a single step forward. You can finish the day completely exhausted without accomplishing one thing that truly mattered. So if you want to take back control, do 3 things. First, set aside 15 minutes every day to review how you used your time. Second, eliminate or reduce anything that adds no real value to your life. And third, create dedicated time blocks for what truly matters. 40 minutes to organize the house and start the laundry, an hour and a half for your workout. When you give every task a specific name and a specific time, you close the door on the distractions that would otherwise steal that space. Because the truth is this: your time is the most valuable thing you own, and if you don't protect it, the world will gladly fill it for you with things that don't really matter without ever asking your permission. We all have the same 24 hours. The secret has never been having more time. It's using the time you already have more wisely. And perhaps Seneca expressed it in the clearest way possible. The mistake is living as though we're simply waiting for life to begin. It has already begun. It's happening right now. So start today by treating your time for what it truly is, your life unfolding minute by minute. Final strategy: the challenge to take action. Wherever you are right now, it's not too late. Hold on to that thought, because it's the heart of everything that comes next. Maybe you started this year full of plans. You committed to changing, set clear goals, and felt that surge of motivation that seemed like it would last forever. And then life happened. Problems showed up, exhaustion set in, responsibilities piled up, and before you knew it, everything you had planned started falling apart. If that's what happened to you, take a breath, because that doesn't mean it's over. You're not behind, you're alive, and as long as you're alive, you can always begin again. That's exactly what the Stoics taught. It doesn't matter what has happened up to this point. What matters is how you choose to respond from this very moment forward. The past has already been written. The present hasn't. Marcus Aurelius summed it up with a line worth remembering for the rest of your life. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Stop for a moment and let those words sink in. You can't control what has already happened, the setbacks, the months you feel you lost, the times you gave up, but you have complete control over what you choose to do from this moment on. That's where all your strength lives. So get back up, dust yourself off, and get back on track. Because what will define your life isn't what happened yesterday, it's the decision you make today. And getting your life back on track is absolutely possible, but it doesn't happen all at once. It starts small. It starts when you choose to get up early, even when you don't feel like it. Stay focused when it would be easier to get distracted. Treat people with kindness even when your whole day has gone wrong. Real transformation has never come from one dramatic gesture. It's built through small choices, repeated day after day. And here's something the Stoics understood that almost no one practices today. They didn't wait for perfect conditions before taking action. They knew the right time is always now. If you keep waiting for life to push you forward, waiting for motivation to come back, waiting for the perfect circumstances, nothing will change. Be your own momentum. Be the one who sets everything in motion. Starting over after a setback or after going a long time without seeing results takes strength. But more than that, it takes one thing above all else: a decision. No one can do that work for you. People may believe in you, they may cheer you on, but the choice to stand back up belongs to you alone. It takes courage to face discomfort, to accept that the road won't be easy, and to take the first step anyway. Because real strength isn't born from comfort, it's born from persistence. And yes, choosing to change is uncomfortable. It's always easier to stay where you are, even if that place is hurting you, because the familiar creates a false sense of security. But growth and standing still can never exist together. Growth demands movement. It requires leaving behind the comfort of stagnation and facing the discomfort of beginning again, head on. Think about an oyster. An oyster that is never wounded never produces a pearl. It's the irritating grain of sand, the discomfort, the slow and painful process of healing that transforms it into one of the most precious things in the world. Your life works the very same way. Your strength won't be built in the absence of problems. It will be built by the way you respond to them. Pain didn't come to break you. It came, if you allow it, to transform you into someone you can't even imagine becoming. And remember this: courage has never meant the absence of fear. Courage is taking action despite fear. It's precisely when you feel like giving up that all of this matters most. You don't act because it's easy. You act because it's necessary. That's the moment more than any other when you discover what you're truly made of. So here it is. The challenge to take action is an invitation to discover, through action, just how strong you really are. The pearl is born only after the pain. A new beginning is born only after a decision, and that decision is here, right now, waiting for you. Not tomorrow, not next Monday, not when the time is right. Today. Accept the challenge, take the first step, and start building the life that only you can build. Because no one else is going to do it for you. And the truth is, you never needed anyone to. You only needed to decide to begin. The Stoic house preserves timeless wisdom for those facing modern battles. If this video made you stronger, support the channel by giving it a like, share that strength with someone who needs it, and subscribe so we can continue this journey together. Thank you for watching.